श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। Please forgive if I made any mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mataji. And thank you all for coming today so that we can share our realizations, so that we can practice a little bit of smaranam, which is remembrance. So, for that reason, today I will not be giving a class, but we will all be sharing our realizations and our notes. So, I hope you all asked that you should have your notebooks ready with you. For those of us who take notes on a regular basis, then you all have notebooks, and in those notebooks, you've written several points which you found to be very impactful. And in those notebooks, maybe you've also written poems, you've written um, your own realizations. So that is what I would like us to do today, which is basically sharing notes with each other and sharing realizations, because this will help us to be more mindful. It will help us to contemplate more. And it is not possible to get realization without contemplation. So that's why it is explained that the process is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. It starts with hearing, then chanting, and the topmost, or rather, the next stage is remembrance. So, in this connection, as we're living our lives, we should be reflecting, we should be thinking the every day. This is what is called self assessment. So, every day we have to think, okay, today, how did I practice? Did I chant my rounds attentively? All right. How was I interacting with people? What was the quality of my interactions with the devotees, with those, everyone who is around me? Because we must understand that to be Krishna conscious first, we have to be conscious, which means we have to be introspective. We have to go inward. So, a lot of devotees, they are chanting perfectly, they're following the four regulative principles, but they miss out on this, which is daily self assessment, regular contemplation. It's not possible to move towards a goal unless you're frequently assessing yourself, unless you're thinking about everything you're being taught, unless you're trying to practice about everything you're being taught. So that's why I thought today we can do something different and share with each other some of the notes that we've taken, some of the realizations we've had, and In that way, we can encourage each other on the path of Krishna consciousness. So even a festival like Rath Yatra, during festivals, there is so much opportunity to get realizations. If you reflect back on the Rath Yatra, you will be able to see so many things. So now I'll open it back to you for someone to share something, and then I will share also, and we can all. I think we'll just take turns because we're few. So today no one can hide. We'll go around. So maybe Shubhadra, Yashoda, Devi, Dasi can start, then Gayatri can start, can continue, and then Bhakta Muga, and then I will also share like that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have to change my name. I'm not Subhadra Devi, but because I use the link, it comes up that way. This is Kirtika Patel. Can I go
Mm.
second, please? Let Bhakta Mugo go first, and then I can share my realizations, if any.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You can
Bhakta
kindly repeat the question because I think it would be good if you can kindly repeat the question, please, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
All right. So my request is that we can all share our reflections. And if you have a notebook, that would be easier because in our notebooks, we usually write when we're studying, when we're in lectures, we write those points which we feel are important and which we should action. So, what my request is that today let us share with each other our notes. Let us also share our realizations, maybe something, an experience that you had which helped you to realize something that you had read or that you had heard before. You know, um, this realization is what helps us to move forward because you understand that Krishna consciousness is real. So, yes, this is my request. I hope it's clear now.
Is it for chanting or just any?
Any related to devotional service, anything related to bhakti.
Okay, while everybody's thinking, maybe I can get the ball rolling. Um, this is regarding chanting. So, definitely, I'm struggling with chanting, and I have good days and bad days.
Mm,
Even during a good day, not all rounds are chanted effectively. And I have trouble bringing the mind back to chanting. So, um, uh, but I keep on reminding myself that it is an offense. It is an offense if I don't chant my rounds uh, attentively. I might
mm,
as well not chant my rounds if I have to. So I went into a phase when I said, "Oh, what's the use of chanting my rounds if I'm not doing it diligently?"
mm,
Because I feel that whatever I do, I should do diligently. And if I'm not doing it diligently, uh, then it's of no use. But then I heard in one of the lectures then I went just totally into listening to lectures because maybe
mm,
that was what was required for me, attentive listening of Srila Prabhupada or other devotees. And there I learned that even if you can't chant attentively, don't give it up. Chant, and Krishna will help you.
mm,
And then I started praying as well. I really told Krishna, I really, really, really want to chant attentively. Please, please help me.
mm,
And I'm still struggling. I'm not there yet, I feel, but it
mhm,
has improved. So, uh, giving up something might be very easy, probably just like Arjuna did, that no, I don't want to fight the war because all those are my relatives. And for me, it was, oh, I can't attentively chant. ours is to do, and this is what I have learned. Maybe you can give us, or some other people can give us an idea on how to go about it. But this is the way I went about it. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. That's a very, very nice realization that you've shared two things, which I've also experienced, that when you feel spiritually weak, when you listen more to lectures, it gives you strength to at least keep going. And also prayer, like you said, prayer is very powerful and it should be done as much as possible, because that is another way of creating a personal relationship with Krishna. Whenever we are opening up to Krishna and asking him for help, telling him our problems, then we are treating him as a person, because it means that we understand that Krishna is hearing us. He is not some very far away person. Krishna is very close to us in his all pervasive feature and as the localized Paramatma. So, prayer and hearing Krishna Katha really can help us to move forward when we feel weak. So, thank you for that, Mataji. Now we can move to Bhakta Mugu. Please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Yes. That's a very, I can say it's quite a unique session of sharing organizations, because even Gurudev, he also really encourage us to give our realizations. However mundane an event is, just talk about any realizations that you had. So it challenges me personally to want to get something out of everything that can actually say, that's an epiphany. And one of the things that really was quite in particular spoke loudly, it was the Srimad Bhagavatam last week that we had with Krishna Arjuna, where he talked about the verse of Uddhava, telling Krishna, if you find me worthy, kindly, if you find me competent and worthy, give me the knowledge that you gave to Brahma. And he broke it down to three things, where the first thing he said, we really have to ask the right questions. And let's say the first thing in the Srimad Bhagavatam is a book of questions and answers. Yeah, and based on my curiosity, just wanted to know some stories about how the universe came, but maybe I can look more of a pandit when somebody asks me, how did Brahma create the world? No, or how did Krishna instruct Brahma? I can be like, yes, this is how. But with time, I'm changing that perspective slowly and slowly as mentors come here. I'm coming to realize it's more than just acquiring knowledge just for the sake of knowledge. It's teaching it's a guide that's teaching some subtle things, mostly humility, even if we are getting this knowledge. In some sense, I'm finding in these elevated devotees how they take themselves. For example, Uddhava, a very rich friend of Krishna, but still the humility that he has in his heart was so profound that you cannot really miss it. And such, I even stopped asking so many questions because I realized there are questions in the Srimad Bhagavatam already there that now these guys, I can just, they're asking the questions for my sake, and they're good questions. for the soul, not for the material body. So for me, lately I've just been listening to their questions, and maybe if I'm competent enough, can get some answers, some clarity. But mostly the question bits, that is the bits that has really been striking me, because they are very, very profound questions. Yeah. And I just hope I can continue relishing this nectar of how to even inquire about these matters of divinity in a way that is not so materially contaminated, but to improve my devotion and my bhakti, because I realized I really didn't even have the questions. My questions were very mundane, and now I have some guides on what are the right questions to ask. And then he talked about being competent, and we can only make ourselves competent by our sadhana by attending such classes, our chanting attentively. So as in the process, I really hope I can make myself competent to even acquire this by His grace. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. That was wonderful. I really like what you explained, that this philosophy is not just for reading. It's not like we're not reading a magazine, but we're reading with the intention of trying to derive something from it. We want to hear what Krishna has to tell us today. We want to hear what Krishna has to tell us now. And he speaks to us through the scriptures, through his devotees. And it is explained that a devotee is like a bee, because a bee is always going to where there is nectar. So even when we're taking part in spiritual activities, like yesterday we had Ratha Yatra, it's naturally nectarian. But if you have that desire that I want to derive something special from this Rath Yatra, then you're going to experience it. If your consciousness is stuck on just the platform of enjoyment, that I'm just going to go and enjoy, you'll enjoy. You will also get spiritual benefit, but those treasures will still remain hidden to you, because Krishna consciousness is as such. Krishna responds to the intention, not the perfection of the activity. Krishna responds to our desires. And if you speak with any devotee who has been practicing or trying to practice sincerely for a few years, they will give you these experiences how Krishna reciprocates to our desires. So thank you very much for that. You shared a lot of things. I just touched on one point. So for those people who have just joined now, what we're doing today is we're sharing our realizations from anywhere, wherever you've read, or maybe you heard something in a class and you'd like to share with us. Maybe you've written it in your notebook where you study. You can also share with us those points. Also, if you have questions, feel free, you can ask your questions. So thank you for that, Dennis. So for me, I think I'll just share a little. I think it's a poem. I don't know if it fits the category of a poem, but I wrote something during my stay in Nakuru, and it's titled Better To. So here goes. Better to struggle with an empty stomach than the genitals. Better to beat my senses than my senses beat me. Better to become attracted to Krishna than the form of the opposite gender. Better to surrender today, now, every hour than tomorrow. Better to risk my reputation and win your heart. Better to serve self less and help others progress. Better to eat simple prasadam than a banquet of sin. Better to speak less than to invite death. In all circumstances, my dear Shishi Radha Madan Mohan, better to make those choices that will help me get closer to you because when all is said and done, it will be better to cry, shiver, become mad with love for you than anything else desirable. Better to surrender today, now, every hour. So this was something that I wrote when I was contemplating about how sometimes when you're practicing Krishna consciousness, it's difficult to surrender, but that is because we still have so many desires. But the more we understand that there's nothing more desirable, there's nothing more enjoyable, then it's better to choose Krishna consciousness than the other option. So that's why I call it better too, because it's always this or that. There's never an in between. It's either you're Krishna conscious or you're choosing Maya. So it's just, I was trying to encourage the mind that, okay, sometimes I've adopted um, a personal vrata to eat less. So it's not easy, but at least after you practice it, sometimes it becomes more normal. But in the beginning, when I had taken that step, it was difficult because I started feeling hungry, and I'm like, everyone else is eating. Why should I? Why should I? Drag myself. Why should I be so tough on myself? But we understand that actually, if one is interested in controlling lust, if one is interested in controlling the genitals, then it starts by controlling the tongue and the belly. So it is better always to make that choice which will be beneficial for our Krishna consciousness in the long run, even if it is uncomfortable in the beginning. Ultimately, in the end, it will be so sweet, so desirable that any inconvenience that would have been taken will become inconsequential. It won't matter at all, you know. It will feel like a very short or small price to pay. So that was one of the realizations I had. Now, I think someone else can share. Let's see who else is on the call. Gayatri Mataji, would you like to share something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Actually, last time I'm negligible. I'm nobody to speak about anything. But my realizations when I was watching Keshav Swami's videos, and I myself had to there is another group. They were asking me to give some talk on it, and I just prepared myself on that. And it was so many the topic was about seven triggers of transformation, like
Hmm.
how devotee how a person can transform himself into bhakti, how what are the triggers that can, because we are all, I mean, especially me, I'm not a person like a Prahalad Maharaj who was born with it already.
Hmm.
um, so I just had to give a talk on that, and it was beautiful, Prabhuji. And then in that there are so many. First, Keshav Maharaj speaks about 9 stages of bhakti, which is Shraddha, which is faith, which is the inclination. First of all, if we don't have the inclination, then obviously we are not able to, we can't even think of anything. We are completely into Maya, as you are just saying. And then after that, it is Sadhu Sangha, the association of devotees, which is so important. Now that I got association of devotees, and suddenly there is a lot of differences in my way of thinking or doing things, anything. So, which is really, really nice. And then the next one is Bhajana Kriya, where devotional service, which we have to perform physically, like, bringing fruits or flowers, water, whatever, patram, pushpam, palam, toyam, what Krishna asks. He's not asking. If we give with love and devotion, he will accept. That's what he's saying. So we have to give him that. And then anartha nivritti, which is the most hardest for me, Prabhu. So removal of unwanted attachments, or all the anarthas what we have within us. So that's what I'm struggling with. The anartha nivritti, where we should not get attached to any material things, or our own body extensions, like our kids and husband and whatnot. So which is really hard. That's maybe next class. Maybe you can give us a little bit more elaborated this thing, so that we all can understand better in that regard. And then the nista, steadiness, where we have to be steady in our bhakti without deviation, without break. We should keep going. Then the ruchi, obviously, the taste of chanting, doing seva, thinking of Krishna all the time. That is the taste we have to develop. So that one we have to do. And asakti, attachment to the Lord, which we need to develop more attachment automatically. Once we get attached to Lord, then we will get detached with all these material attachments. We will get detached. So hopefully that will happen one day with us, with me. And that's one of the thing which I'm realizing, Prabhuji. And then bhava, love of Godhead. So by emotionally, if we can connect with God, then automatically we can detach with these worldly things. Prema. Then we at the last is the prema, pure love for the Godhead. So that is a final stage, which is I'm still struggling with the first one. So this is very, very slow transformations. And the 7 triggers of transformations are like the instruction. Through instructions, we can change. Like how Narada Muni has instructed many people in his on the whenever he meets someone, he changed their lives. That's
Yes.
one. And yes, Prabhuji, one is main the and also Sutta Goswami instructs the sages. So before how um, like Mugo Prabhu was saying, like by how we can listen attentively and asking doubts. We have to be, first of all, we have to be attentive, Shravanam, which we have to Bahushruta. So if we can listen attentively, then only it will enter into our ears. Through ears, we can at least think, and then we can change ourselves. So interactively, we have to ask doubts, clarify. We have to be curious to understand, and also to ask any doubts and analyze, and then we have to come to conclusions. That was one of the things. And then the second one was transformation by issue. So when we have a health issue or any other issues, that's when we think of God. Otherwise, if we think that we are very, very happy in this material world, so by issues, we can transform ourselves. And that was Chitraketu was an example for that. When he when he didn't have kids, he was very suffering. And then once he got kid, he was on cloud 9. And again, when his other wives got very jealous of the first wife, and then they killed him, gave poisoned him, and then again he came down to the platform of suffering. So like this in everybody's life, once the graph is going up and down, up and down, up and down. In that process, we realize that, oh, okay, these hardships and happiness and distress are coming and going, coming and going, and in the process we realize that nothing is permanent, and we should try and realize the God at that moment at least. And the next one
Mm.
was impossible transformation by impossibility. So in this, what Keshav Swami says is like spirituality is difficult, but spiritual life is difficult, but material life is impossible. He says it is it is so true. So when I listen to all these, I'm kind of realizing, Prabhuji, and your classes also. I'm trying to realize so many things I have written down. And
Mm.
that was one of the things. Kunti Maharani, in fact, she asks for more. more and more difficulties in her life, because she knows in difficult times alone she can remember Krishna. And that's the one. So she is an exalted devotee. That's why she's asking. But we usually ask for happiness. We don't want distresses in life, because we think that, oh, in happy times we can be very happy. But in fact we are not realizing that happy times or distress times we are same in
Mm,
on this platform. And detachment, yeah. And then the interaction, Prabhuji, as I already told, like Narada Muni has changed by interaction. The Prajetas, he changed all their minds at once. So many people they all wanted to have progeny after they finished their austerities, but then they got into they came across Narad Muni. Such lucky people they are. So with instruction, Narad Muni changed them, and they became austere, and completely they didn't want to marry.
mm,
They understood the purpose of life, and they went back to Godhead later. So and then transformation by intensity, like Dhruv Maharaj did lot of austerities and he changed himself. So even though he started his journey for his own sake, but then by in the process of austerity he realized that he has to become he understood that he was looking for pieces of glass, broken pieces of glass, but
yeah.
now he realized that he found the diamond itself. So that is so nice, Prabhuji. And you were also once mentioning about this. And
Mm,
I mean, transformation by increment, slowly in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna mentions from 12th Bhakti Yoga 12th chapter, 8, 9, 10, 11 shlokas, until all those shlokas he first says, just fix your mind all the time on me. And if that is not possible, then you can do at least, if you cannot fix your mind and intelligence upon me, then at least follow some regulative principles in Bhakti Yoga. And if you can't even do that, then at least do the work for me, like just cleaning the temple or something like that. And if we cannot even do that, at least even at home we have to clean our home, thinking it is Krishna's home, and make prasada, thinking that we are making cooking for him, and those kind of things. At least so incrementally, slowly we can increase our bhakti. And transformation by intrigue was how Vaman Dev tricked Bali Maharaja. That was one of the things. Like how Krishna is trying so many ways to bring us back to him, but we are also so stubborn, very bad of us, that we are very stubborn. We don't want to go back, and we are still thinking that in this material world we can enjoy.
yeah.
That he tries every single way. Even he's trying to trick, uh, how he tricked Vaman Dev, saying coming like a small brahmana, but as a Vaman Dev, and then he asks for three steps, and then he occupies all three lokas, and gives him also once. But Vamandev, I mean Bali Maharaj completely surrendered to Vamandev, and then so if we also surrender to him, then we can go back to Godhead, Prabhuji, which is really nice. And these are my small realizations, Prabhuji. Whatever I'm learning slowly. So
Mm,
bless us
thank you.
all, bless me. Thank you, Hari Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for that. The seven triggers of transformation. Yeah. The understanding is that as devotees, we should be constantly transforming. I always like to refer to the beginning of my Krishna conscious journey. It really felt very intense, like I was discovering something, a secret, like something that was hidden, something very valuable. And then finally, when you meet the devotees, it's like I've been looking for these people all my life. And it's just like my mindset was changing, activities were changing. So this should not stop. This has to continue happening until we finally go back home to Godhead. because that's how you can understand that we're progressing in Krishna consciousness. There's so many anarthas, there's so many things that we need to renounce, and so many things that we need to accept. So, a devotee is in a constant state of transformation. To be stagnant is not a good sign. It means that we're not advancing. To be stagnant means that we will eventually lack enthusiasm and will sink lower. So, in devotional service, there is no option but to keep going up, 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 up. And that should be our attitude, that whatever is happening, just like Kunkunti is praying that Krishna, please let these problems come. Of course, we can't pray that because we're not very advanced. Because Krishna responds, if you pray that and you're not ready, the problems will finish you. But the idea is that Queen Kunti is seeing everything in relation to Krishna. So, like my Guru Maharaj usually says, when people are enjoying, they don't ask Krishna, hey, what have I done? Why are you giving me so much happiness? But when we are suffering, it's like, hey, Krishna, why? I'm your devotee. Why are you doing this to me? So, a devotee sees all situations as an opportunity to become more Krishna conscious. And a devotee is always like a bee, always trying to derive the nectar. A devotee is someone who can. A devotee is like an alchemist. An alchemist could make gold out of regular metals. So that means, like his Grace Chaitanya Charan says, that not everything that happens is good, but something good can come out of everything. In such a mind state, there's nothing really that can stop our bhakti. So thank you, Mataji, for sharing that. I think now someone else can share. I saw Peter there. Peter, would you like to share something?
I hope all the cases. It's really amazing to attend these classes. They really uplift my soul so much. Attending these classes with you, Prabhu, so much blessing from Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for being here for us. We really appreciate you for being here for us.
Appreciate
Thank you,
you
Prabhu.
too, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So you've not shared anything. Have you shared something?
Yeah,
You're
this,
only sharing gratitude. Okay,
uh,
that's also a lesson. Thank you. Okay, I see we have someone here, someone else. We have Renuka Mataji. Maybe you can share. Okay, maybe someone else in the meantime. Bhakta Easton. Okay, who else is available? Indusa Mataji, would you like to share a realization or something you've learned? Okay, okay. Who else do we have? Okay, Junicia, would you like to share something? Okay, seems that either people might not be able to speak or something like that. So, is there anyone else who has already shared? Okay, I'm seeing there's something in the chat box. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm deeply sorry I'm not in a position to talk, but I would like to share a realization I have been having of late. I don't know if I always get this definition of bhakti right. I chant the most rounds just to do them and not to have that association with the holy name. I don't feel like I push myself to memorize the shlokas, and when I do forget them, I love telling stories with I love telling stories with the kids, singing silly bhajans and cooking prasadam. That sorry, that maybe has too much salt or undercooked, or I even forget offering sometimes. I feel him in the shared laughter with the devotees. When we hung out and when I realized that we have been talking about Krishna, when the kids wonder and innocently talk out what they know about Krishna. And yes, I read, but I find myself doing it only when it's convenient. Makes me think my process is just felt bhakti and not philosophical. Is that okay? Is that also bhakti? So, practically, thank you for your question, first of all, and for openly asking your question very honestly. So, in the stage which most of us are in, we are practicing what is called mixed bhakti. So, mixed bhakti is not yet pure, but you've made the distinction between philosophical and felt bhakti. So, felt bhakti might mean sentimental or whimsical. Now, whimsical bhakti is never encouraged at any point. So, but if you're talking about doing those things which you're naturally inclined to do within bhakti, that is very good and should continue. But whimsical practice should not be encouraged, and you just have to discipline your mind. So, for example, you've mentioned about offering prasad, that can never be ignored. If you've forgotten, like that's a different case. But if you've consciously decided not to offer the boga, then that's whimsical practice, which we should all try and come out of. So, devotional service is practiced according to a set of rules and regulations and under guidance of mentors or the spiritual master. So, whatever you're doing, always just try and refer to the scriptures. Is what I'm doing bona fide? Is this the system of doing whatever I'm doing? And naturally, even though there will be mistakes, it will eventually be purified. So, in the beginning, we are usually practicing devotional service either in the mode of ignorance, passion, sometimes goodness. But even if we're in the mode of ignorance and we continue practicing according to the rules that have been set out for us, eventually Krishna will purify the quality of our bhakti and it will eventually reach the pure, perfected stage. So, you shouldn't be very hard on yourself. You just need to continue practicing and following what the scriptures say under some authority. So we have so many Shiksha gurus. I know for myself, there's so many people who've helped me to practice. So even for yourself, whenever you're practicing, you should always take guidance from those who are above you as you're practicing. All of these inclinations will eventually become purified. But it's natural. There's nothing wrong with it. We all have activities which we prefer to do, even within devotional service. And even in the spiritual world, people have their different services. It's not that everyone is doing the same things. No, people have their different special inclinations. This is natural. Otherwise, it's not possible to be an individual if everyone is uniform, if everyone has the same desires, if everyone has the same activities. That's boring. So you should not be worried. It's totally natural, but you should do any activities according to the scriptural injunctions. So thank you for that question. So I'd like to share something here with all of you, and then maybe someone can ask one last question, and we can close it. So this I read from the Spiritual Warrior, a book by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, and it is Spiritual Warrior Making a Friend of the Mind. That's the title of the book. So, in this book, he was explaining how devotees need to have goals, and he was explaining that we need to have short term goals, and these goals will help us to be more enthusiastic about our devotional service, especially even for full time devotees. One may think someone who is a full time devotee does not have to have goals, but we also have to have goals. Even if someone is working outside in the world, we still also have to have goals, because unless we have some sort of project, some sort of something we're working towards, then it's very difficult to maintain that determination and enthusiasm. Because anytime you achieve a small goal, it increases your determination, it increases your confidence, it increases your faith in Krishna. And these small goals may differ. The goals should be set according to uh, our current situation and what we would like to move forward in. So, for example, maybe someone can set a goal that they would like to read uh, maybe 5 books within a span of 6 months. If this person is able to read those 5 books within these 6 months, not only will they develop a very strong confidence, not only will they be enthusiastic, but they would have also benefited so much because they have read 5 books, 5 Krishna conscious books. And that activity in itself is purifying, and it will help them to help other people. So, this is the importance of having short term goals. And all of these short term goals are guided by the ultimate goal, which is Krishna Prem, love for Krishna. If we set our goals, which are all meant to eventually help us reach that point of love for Krishna, then Krishna consciousness becomes very exciting. It becomes an adventure. It becomes very dynamic, because we will always have something to look forward to. If we reflect in our lives, when we have something to look forward to, then life is very, very enjoyable. It is very, you know, juicy. It's not boring. It's not like routine, because we have something we're planning. We have something we're working towards. We have we're having some sort of motivation to do more. So it is very important for all of us devotees to have these short-term goals. We should just evaluate ourselves and set the goals, evaluate the goals, see are these goals really aligning towards where I want to go. And once you have validated that, you start setting out. In as much as you've set a goal, you also have to create a strategy. How am I going to achieve this goal? I think I've spoken about this before, but this is obvious. We do it all the time in our material life. We do it all the time when we're doing business, because in business we set targets. We want to have this amount of sales at the end of the year. Okay, how are we going to achieve that? We set those strategies. As we are practicing, or rather, as we are running our business, we're not going to wait until the end of the year to see, am I going towards my goal? No, we're going to have weekly meetings, monthly meetings to review, is this strategy working, and are we moving towards the goal? Then, when we find that it is working, we continue with more enthusiasm. When we find it is not working, we have to go inside and look what is the cause. Then we adjust to it and continue moving towards the goal. So, dear devotees, this is what it means to be a purpose driven, Krishna conscious devotee. We have a purpose here. Each and everyone who is in this meeting has a purpose. And we all have the ultimate goal, which is going back to the spiritual world. That cannot happen unless it is a goal for us. We usually say it, but is it really a goal? We say it a lot, but if we observe our activities, then we can know how serious we are about going back to the spiritual world, how serious we are about developing love for Krishna. So we must put in place short term goals which will help us to eventually reach there. It doesn't matter how big or how small. We may be taking up a new service in the temple or at home, maybe doing some service online. It can be whatever. But as long as you have a Krishna conscious short term goal that is leading you ultimately to progress to the ultimate goal, then you will see how enjoyable your Krishna conscious life will be, how dynamic, how fresh it will be. So there's another question that has come here by Bhakta Easton. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So sorry that I couldn't share my realization when I was called upon. I'm not in a position to do so. However, I would be humbled to share that since I joined the philosophy, I felt some change in the lifestyle I used to have. Before joining, my lifestyle wasn't any better than it is today. Detaching, sorry. Before joining, my lifestyle wasn't any better than it is today. Detaching from material attachments has been a challenge, but I try working hard on it. Also, following the four regulative principles seemed like a struggle in the first few weeks, but they came naturally later on. But the issue came up with chanting japa rounds. I used to do my rounds, chanting all my rounds, but it felt more like a duty than devotion towards it. Then in one of the classes, I learned that we should try comparing the quality and the quantity. I reduced the number of rounds and did an amount I felt were done from the heart by love. I was wondering if that is wrong or right. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you for that question, Bhakti Easton. So once again, we just need to keep it simple. We have already been given the minimum, which is 16 rounds. If you are able to chant 16 rounds, chant those 16 rounds. It's going to eventually help you to develop the feelings. So we must understand that we have not yet reached the perfectional stage of bhakti. We've not yet reached raganuga bhakti or spontaneous bhakti. At that stage is where chanting is no longer dutiful. At that stage is where we cannot stay without chanting. So that's the perfectional stage. So our problem is that we are in the very beginning, but we are expecting to have the same sort of taste or result of the perfectional stage. It doesn't happen like that. So we should be patient with ourselves and determined and enthusiastic, knowing that if I simply continue chanting in the process and in the way it has been prescribed, avoiding offenses and sincerely chanting, eventually I will be able to chant with love. So don't worry, you are on the right track. Chant 16 rounds. Try your best to be attentive. If you chant most of your rounds inattentive, but you try to do the ones that you can attentively, you would have gotten more benefit than if you only chanted a few rounds attentively. So that's the power of the holy name, that even if you're chanting offensively, if you continue chanting, your chanting becomes purified. So this is what the Shastras say. So there is no need to beat ourselves up that we still do not have taste for the holy name. We don't have that love. We've been in this material world for so long. So imagine you're trying to do something very heroic that is going back to Godhead in this lifetime. Remember when I was in Eldoret, I asked everyone, if Krishna came today and said, leave everything behind, I'm taking you back today, how many of us are willing to leave everything behind? So we must understand that this is where we want to reach, but we're not yet there. And it's good to understand where we are and simply accept and follow the system. You'll reach there. There's no doubt. All right, thank you. I can see Kirtika Mataji has a hand up.
Sorry, Prabhuji, it was by mistake, but thank you for clarifying as well that 16 rounds are minimal, and even if it is offensive chanting, we have to do it because if we don't do those 16 rounds and we say, oh, I'll do 8 very nicely, there are chances of falling back. So thank you for
Yeah.
that clarification, because
Mm.
sometimes I feel like the bhakta who has just inquired whether it is
Yeah.
okay to just do 8 good rounds. Okay, I'll just do 8 good rounds, but
Yeah.
we have to do 16 even if it is not good. So
Yes.
that clarification.
Yes. Thank you. And it's also related to the question that Indu Samataji asked. You see, if we decide to do 8 good rounds, that we're going according to our own thinking, our own feelings, but that has not been explained anywhere in the Shastras, and neither has Srila Prabhupada propagated that. So we just need to follow this system as it is, and success is assured. There is no doubt about that. We have many examples, so we just need to keep that strong determination. We have to keep that enthusiasm and patience. The result is assured. That's not in question. So, our time is up. Is there anyone who would like to say something before we close? All right. So, thank you all for being very kind and sharing all of your realizations. And I hope that from all of this, we will continue our Krishna consciousness in a mindful way and
I think Prabhuji is frozen, or maybe it's my internet. Are you all experiencing the same?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Maybe it's the network
I think
there.
it was not you.
I, I don't know whether Prabhuji is dropped off or not, but let us just conclude this session. Bhakta Mugo, are you able to conclude the session for today? Maybe he is
Yeah,
also having some chance. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Bhakta Mugo.
yeah, yeah. I think Prabhuji is having some challenges. But really, thank you everyone for this really honest, heartfelt realization that you shared with the group, and today was such a unique class, and uh, such realization just don't get to you all, but to everything. So my really heartfelt gratitude to all of you. I feel Prabhuji has rectified his internet connection. Maybe before we conclude, Prabhuji, we were just concluding that.
oh, it's okay. It's okay. Let's just conclude. Yeah. So thank you all for uh,
For that beautiful
and
class, very unique and very powerful. And thank you for sharing your realizations. I hope we can all get to the point where if Krishna really comes at any moment, will not hesitate to drop this material attachments and go and serve him without any hesitance. So thank you for those realization. And that's the poem read to us. Better to the change that we really have. Better to serve Krishna than to serve the Maya. Thank you. And everybody else. Thank you. So I kindly like to request we chant one Maha mantra in glorification of this. Glorification of
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां वनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Srila Prabhupada ki
जय
jai. His Grace Samadarshi Prabhu ki jai.
जय
Granthrat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
जय
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.